Now on CoastTV News.
Roads looking like rivers. People in the Inland Bay areas bracing for even rougher flooding tonight.
Heavy winds and waves at the Indian River Inlet today. Erosion fears highlighted after millions of dollars of work.
Keeping boats at bay will take you to current conditions out in Ocean City.
And despite Hurricane Erin being hundreds of miles out to sea, our coast has been getting battered by high surf and strong winds throughout the day. How long will it continue? I'll have the answer in my full forecast.
This is CoastTV News at 5.
Dark clouds over the canal as we look into Lewis. Good evening. I'm Madeline Overturf.
And I'm Charlie Sakaitis. We begin tonight with Hurricane Erin on the coast. It's looking like some rough waters in Rehoboth via our Boardwalk Plaza cam. You can just see all the white on the waves splashing up there.
And let's go take a look at the Delaware Bay. A little different conditions up there, but still not a great day to be outside at all.
Not at all. And now we are taking a live look into Ocean City. Let's check with our First Alert meteorologist, Chris Mastrobuono, on our First Alert weather. Chris?
Good afternoon, Charlie and Maddie. Yeah, it's been a pretty active afternoon, especially along the coast. You can see Ocean City, they have been getting battered by heavy surf, the sand piling up on the boardwalk. Tremendous amounts of beach erosion there. We've had reports of 15 to 17 foot waves off the coast, but the coast itself being battered by 12 to 14 foot waves. A bit calmer there in the bay, but nonetheless, we continue to see that onshore push of wind, and that's really going to be our concern here as we push through the evening. That coincides with high tide. You see Hurricane Erin right now well off to our east. It continues to move to the northeast at about 20 miles an hour, but we were talking about how wide this storm is, and that is really why we're seeing such strong effects here on Delmarva. Check out some of these current wave heights. 13 to 17 feet across the Delmarva Peninsula. We have coastal flood warnings that continue through the evening, and that is really our concern here over the next few hours. As high tide kicks in, we could see some major tidal flooding continue along the coast. We'll talk about when some sunnier, drier times ahead in that full 7-day forecast.
Chris, thank you. Our crews are watching the storm as it moves along the coast. We have our CoastTV Chief Meteorologist Paul Williams in Ocean City with information on rip currents, Emma Aken in Oak Orchard, where flooding is already taking over roadways, and Brandon Ferguson at the Indian River Inlet, where erosion is a big.
And we're going to focus here on those rip currents. We're heading out to our Chief Meteorologist, Paul Williams, who's live on the shores of Ocean City with the latest on rip current threats. Paul, what should beachgoers be watching for now?
And keeping up with what's happening with the circulation on it here, first, let's focus on what's happening right now. We're getting the piers being barreled right now as a result of the high waves that's pushing through. We're looking at an average at the very least 10 foot waves and as high as 16 feet that I've observed personally. Now, just to kind of give you an idea why the rip current is such a big concern, take a look at this graphic depiction of what's happening. With rip currents, we see that underwater circulation that could pull someone out, whether it's a swimmer, a surfer, or a boat, deeper out into the water, really beyond what you would calculate or initially desired to. But take a look at the water once again, but we can see how the water, not only the rip currents are still dangerous, but the water is rising just shy of the pier. We're going to continue to keep a close eye on Erin as she's continuing to have her reverberation effect on the shore. But until then, back to you. I'm Chief Meteorologist Paul Williams, live from Ocean City. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Paul. Now to the inland bays where streets basically turn into rivers. That's where CoastTV News reporter Emma Aken is live, specifically in Oak Orchard. And Emma, people are preparing for high tide and even more water tonight.
Maddie, we're going to show you the scene here in Oak Orchard. You can see water just completely covering the road. We actually have a car going through it right now, so you can see it's kind of several inches here. We'll show you a little bit of a lower angle just so you can see that water completely covering from one side to the other, and cars like that making waves through here. There are barriers trying to stop cars from going through. Some are still going through, but most of them are coming up to this water, seeing it several inches and turning around to be safe. We spoke with locals here earlier who say they're preparing for tonight to be even worse. And let's show you some of those sights we saw earlier here. Storm drains completely covered in water, just not working fast enough. Dead fish, car debris, fallen barricades, and check out these waves just crashing over the docks. We spoke with one local who even set up a protective flood tube.
I love living here. I wouldn't want to live anywhere else, you know, but you know, it's like Hatteras, North Carolina. When it's ugly, it's really ugly.
Neighbors here told us the scene was even worse this morning, and we saw it a little bit worse than this a couple of hours ago. And they say they're preparing for around 8 or 9 tonight to be the most rough of it when high tide rolls in. Reporting live here in Oak Orchard, Emma Aken, Coast TV News.
Now, the CDC says half of all flood-related drownings occur when cars drive into water that's too deep. So, again, a reminder to not drive around barriers blocking the road. And if the water is taking over, the phrase goes, turn around, don't drown, and drive slow to avoid hydroplaning.
On your screen right now are the dunes at the Indian River Inlet where water broke through last year. You might remember that. A full replenishment project was done by DenRec last year, but with heavy waves and winds, concerns are growing over the erosion there. Coast TV News reporter Brandon Ferguson is live at the Indian River Inlet. Brandon, you have a front row seat of the exact area where the dune was broken last year.
Charlie, as you can see behind me, heavy waves already starting some erosion here on the north side of the Indian River Inlet. You can see the water line where waves have already gone up from the ocean, and we are just to the left of the location where that dune breach happened last year on Route 1, and you can see a clear drop-off carved out by the ocean, and also you can see people taking in everything that Hurricane Erin is bringing to Delmarva, and one Bethany local I spoke to say the winds were almost too much for him.
This is more than I expected because the turning here, you can see the riptides, and the good indication is bad because there's no surfers.
Now let's take a look towards the south side of the Indian River Inlet, and as you can see, a little 3-foot hill of erosion already starting there, but water almost covering the entire beach here on the north side of the Indian River Inlet. And at 6, we'll have more on erosion here on the north side of the Indian River Inlet. At the Indian River Inlet, Brandon Ferguson, Coast TV News.
Now to Ocean City, where the Bayside seeing nothing but wind. The wind has kept boats at bay all day, and we spoke with people who live near the bay. Wow, look how high that water is. They said they were hoping to bring their boats out by Friday, but for now, indoors and staying safe.
We haven't really left the house much. We haven't really gone out, but I would definitely not take my boat outside or do any of that sort of stuff right now. Stay inside.
Now, Ocean City is where we are expecting a lot of that storm surge to happen. We do have crews that will be there throughout the evening as Erin comes through.
And this brings us right into our Coast TV poll. We want to know what you think the best flooding fix long-term is.
Let's take a look at the results so far. 46% say let nature be, don't do anything. 42% though say more drainage. 3% say replenishment, and 9% say raise roads.
If you have a big opinion on this, you can leave us a comment or you can go vote at coasttv.com. You can also use our mobile app. According to the town of Ocean City, they have announced that tonight's Sunset Park Party Nights concert, that's been canceled. The rock and pop group Full Circle was supposed to play, but due to the bad weather, that's no longer happening. The next Party Nights concert is scheduled for August 28th. That's going to feature the Dune Hounds.
A major personal victory for President Trump and his companies. A New York appeals court has thrown out a $500 million civil judgment against him. Trump is calling it a total victory. Monica Alba shows us how the New York Attorney General says the state will appeal the ruling.
President Trump on social media declaring total victory after a New York appeals court threw out a $500 million civil fraud penalty against him and his companies. The president and his allies celebrating.
They really overplayed their hand on this because they thought they could take Donald Trump out. They didn't.
But it's not quite that simple.
It's a win and a loss. I mean, in the sense that he's still technically liable, but the penalty has now been erased.
The 323-page opinion contains 3 separate rulings from the court's 5 judges and reveals they were deeply divided, with 2 judges in favor of upholding the fraud judgment but dismissing the financial penalty, 2 in favor of ordering a new trial, and 1 in favor of dismissing the case altogether.
Certainly it is a benefit to the Trump organization not have to pay $500 million in a fine. What's important here is that the court upheld the finding that the Trump organization engaged in massive fraud.
So still liable for fraud, just doesn't have to pay for it.
A New York judge imposed the $500 million fine early last year after a month-long trial. The court ruling the president and his companies engaged in, quote, repeated and persistent fraud. The state accusing Trump and his companies of lying to banks and insurance companies about the value of his properties in order to profit off sweetheart deals on loans and insurance policies. Trump repeatedly slammed the case at the time, calling it politically motivated. While the Trump Organization is now off the hook for the $500 million judgment, the civil fraud judgment against the president, 2 of his sons, and the Trump Organization stands. In a statement, New York Attorney General Letitia James says that they will appeal today's ruling, adding yet another court has ruled that the president violated the law and arguing that their case has merit. Monica Alba, NBC News, Washington.
Powerball jackpot, it's climbing. What the big prize is up to now.
Well, as the sun makes a return for our Friday, keep in mind, still expecting high surf, 6 to 10 foot waves, high surf advisory in effect through Friday night. Dangerous risk of rip currents will continue through the weekend. My full forecast is up in minutes.
But first, a Jeep Fest in Ocean City. We'll take you there live up next. This week's Coastal Connections takes us to Ocean City.
And this is where Jeep Fest is revving up.
Chief Meteorologist Paul Williams is live there, and this time, well, there's something going on there. Probably a lot of weather as the Jeeps are continuing, Paul.
All right, now, although it is a bit treacherous out in the water right now, you can see the waves are still very active, but on the sand, we still have enough dry land to enjoy the Jeep Fest that's happening right now. Now, in the morning time, they do what's called the carpet ride of Jeeps throughout the morning time, so although we're starting to get a lot of the tide coming in right now for the evening tide at about 7, still, they're doing a lot of the fun stuff in the morning time while it's still dry. Brad Hoffman, who's actually organizer of the event, Brad, what's the one thing folks need to keep in mind other than the fact that the problem's out in the water but not here in the sand?
We have Jeep Fest going on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and today, Thursday, and we're able to put on a great show here, and the sand course is still happening, and all of our activities are still happening right
so
here.
Nothing's canceled because of the weather?
Nothing's canceled at all. Jeep Fest is going forward, the All-American Jeep event.
And what's the thing that's being featured this year that maybe folks didn't realize, oh, that's new this year versus last year?
We have a vendor day going on Sunday, and we have an amazing indoor display of Jeeps, and we have an updated, amazing sand course right behind us. And you know what? Jeep Fest is a gathering of all the great Jeep people each and every year. So this year, it's just bigger and better.
Despite the weather.
That's right.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it very much. Just a real quick recap. Once again, we are seeing that during the high tide that we're getting a surge of water. It's getting a little bit closer to us, but it's not necessarily derailing the wonderful activities that's connected to Jeep Fest 2024. I'm Chief Meteorologist Paul Williams, live from Jeep Fest, as well as this storm. Back to you guys.
Well, we have seen quite the bit of wave action along the coast this afternoon, creating tremendous beach erosion as well as a surge of water here along the boardwalk in Ocean City. Take a look at some of those breakers out there just to the east of the jetty. And we're going to continue to see this rough surf here over the next few days. 69 in Ocean City. Temperatures today only reached the lower 70s. And we're going to see gradual clearing as far as the clouds are concerned through the evening. We had gusts as high as 45 miles an hour in Ocean City earlier this afternoon. Still seeing some pretty nice gusts along the coast. 34-mile-an-hour gusts there in Indian River Inlet. Winds have calmed pretty nicely inland. Not much of a storm. If you went further inland, it's just been a rather cloudy, breezy day on the western part of the peninsula. Well, we do have wind advisories up through midnight tonight for the coast, primarily for those gusts upwards of 35, 40 miles an hour. But for the most part, we've seen our peak wind gusts with this system, and the winds are going to begin to die down as we get through the evening. So we still have that coastal flood warning. That's really the primary concern over the next few hours. With that onshore push coinciding with the high tide, we expect major tidal flooding along the Delaware coast. We also have that coastal flood warning down through portions of Worcester County. Now, we could see some minor flooding along the bay side, not going to be as major as what we're going to be dealing with along the coast. We're beginning to see some thinning out of the clouds across northern Delaware, Philadelphia, and South Jersey, and that's going to continue to slide southward as Erin, this massive storm, continues to lift off to the northeast. High pressure is going to be building in throughout the day tomorrow. There's Erin moving northeast at about 20 miles an hour, still a Category 2 hurricane, and will continue to weaken as it pushes up into the Canadian Maritimes throughout the weekend. Now, as far as the winds are concerned, those are going to be subsiding through the evening, but this is the main concern, is that major coastal flooding issue through about 8-9 o'clock. We could see up to 3 foot of inundation as we continue to see that push of high wave action and that wind flow out of the northeast. Here you see the next high tide with Slaughter Beach 736, Lewis coming in at 8:21 as we make our way down the coast, 7:21 in Rehoboth, Indian River Inlet just shy of 8:30. As we push into Ocean City, 7:06, and then Assateague Island, 7:28. Now, the waves are going to continue to be high tomorrow. Very deceiving because we're going to have bright blue skies and sunshine tomorrow, but we're still going to have waves up to 6 to 10 feet. So that dangerous risk of rip currents is going to linger into the weekend, unfortunately. 58 to 66 overnight as clouds decrease, winds calm, and we're looking at plenty of sunshine by Friday, and the weekend shaping up to be fantastic. But again, if you have beach plans, use caution because we're going to be dealing with that high risk of rip currents through the weekend. Highs tomorrow generally in the upper 70s to right around 80 Cambridge. Northeast winds 10 to 25 miles an hour, a bit more breezy at the coast, 78 degree temperature there in Salisbury. There's that high risk of rip currents tomorrow. Wave heights anywhere between 5 to 9 feet with that northeast wind generally between about 15 to 25 miles an hour, and that high risk of rip currents will continue from Ocean City all the way down through Chickateague into Friday. Futurecast shows the clear skies into our Friday, a beautiful day, and it only gets better through the weekend. Some morning lows by Saturday morning in the mid to upper 50s, especially away from the coast, and that's only a taste of what's to come because it gets even better as we go into next week. Clear skies through the end of the weekend. Again, those dangerous swells and rip currents will continue through the weekend. We see a cold front come through Sunday night into Monday. That will bring a threat of an isolated shower.
Thank you, Chris. ESPN's new streaming service is now available as of Thursday. Simple enough to remember. It's just called ESPN. It's owned by Disney. The streaming unlimited plan, that costs $29.99, almost $30 a month. Viewers get access to live events, yearly studio shows, and more. There's also a lower tier option available. The company says some pay TV subscribers already get the streaming platform as part of their package.
Tonight on the Delmarva Sports Network at 7, live Shorebirds baseball, then at 10:30, the final score.
And coming up, 2 airlines being sued for omitting certain information. What that is and who's involved next. Stay tuned. Our Coast TV News at 5.
Passengers are part of 2 class action lawsuits against Delta and United Airlines. They're being accused of knowingly upcharging passengers for window seats. But when passengers board the plane, their seat not next to a window. Some window seats are next to walls because of air conditioning or electrical components. The issue is that while other airlines disclose this, Delta and United do not.
No winners this past Wednesday for the Powerball jackpot. That means the already biggest pot of the year, it's going to get even bigger. As of Thursday morning, it was an estimated $700 million. I could handle that. Yeah. But you can expect it to go up even more. Of course, that number is quite deceptive. If a winner takes in a one-time payout, it drops down to $316 million. Oh, what will we do? Once Uncle Sam withholds his share, it falls to $240 million. The next drawing is scheduled for Saturday night.
And here's a live look outside into Laurel. One more check on the forecast after this.
Coming up new on Coast TV News at 6, more on the flooding and other conditions from Hurricane Erin. That story and more on Coast TV News.
And keeping a close eye on high tide coming up here in the next 3 hours for much of the Delaware coastline with that onshore push and the wave action anywhere from 8 to 14 feet. We could see some major coastal flooding here at the coast and for the back bays. So once we get past that, then we should see things really begin to wind down as the skies clear, and temperatures are going to fall pretty nicely tonight once those skies clear. Deborah Jeffries, Millsboro, Delaware, you're the winner of our Paul Davis umbrella. And as always, you can get your latest forecast by dialing that First Alert weather phone, sponsored by Brockstead, Mandalas, and Federico. Now, your extended forecast shows sunshine making a full return into Friday, but dangerous rip currents and swells are going to continue through the weekend. Could see a late thunderstorm chance on Sunday, and then it's a little taste of fall by the middle part of next week.
All right, Chris, thank you, and thanks for joining us here for Coast TV News at 5.
For more news, more local weather, download our Coast TV News app.
Inside Edition is up next.
And we're going to see you later tonight for Coast TV News at 6. Have a great evening.